Out of Zion comes our salvation, and out of Atlanta, Georgia comes the Messianic Hour. We are heard around the world through the internet and throughout the U.S. on a number of stations across the U.S. You can get a listing at our website for more information, and you can always listen to us right here on the internet as well. You can watch us at YouTube. Just do the key search, The Messianic Hour, and check it out. Also, remember to look at our website, rabbiscott.com. Sign up for our newsletter. While you're there, too, one of the great ways to bless our ministry and bless Israel is to plant a tree in Israel. You can do that through our ministry, and it blesses our ministry. A portion of the proceeds go to our ministry and also to Israel. We plant a tree, and you have a beautiful certificate that you can is suitable for framing. So check that out at the Messianic Hour, our website at rabbiscott.com. So I want to I'll give you a little information here. I have a dear friend of mine, Robbie Coleman. How long have we known each other?
I guess 15 years now,
About 15
Scott.
years. We were the first congregation I went to up in Gainesville.
Yep.
It's Brownsville Assembly of God, and it's been a real blessing. And you have taken on a unique role. You've been the head pastor there for a number of years. You have a beautiful new building from where you had moved to. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life. Here you are, an Assembly of God pastor with a love for Israel. What took place?
Rabbi, I began going to Israel over 30 years ago. I've sat on the Sea of Galilee when bombs were being showered from Syria into the upper Galilee. And after those 30 years of taking different groups in, I just began to think more like the Jewish people. I began to see some of their hurts, some of their pains. During all of that, I really began to feel that the Scripture is exactly true, where Paul said the time of the Gentiles would fade out. And I see that happening. And I see an emphasis from God going all over the world to this little place about the size of New Jersey. And I knew one day I would live there.
And now you're with a ministry called Christian Friends of Israel, CFI. Tell us a little bit how you got involved with them.
There are 4 major ministries in Israel that are recognized by the Israeli government. And that meant a lot to me because I know there's a lot of great ministries that go on kind of undercover. But I was really hoping to not only link up with a ministry, but I also wanted to do some humanitarian good in Israel. I wanted to bless the people of Israel.
Which is really well needed. People don't realize a large majority of Israel is actually under the poverty level. And so it's very difficult, especially the new immigrants coming in.
Exactly. So my wife and I went to Israel. We gave ourselves 3 months to simply tour the land, to simply get to know the different ministries. And we met this couple called Ray and Sharon Sanders. They, 27 years ago, sold everything they had. They moved to Jerusalem. And they are just a delightful couple, and they have taught us so much. And so after meeting them, we decided we want to partner with this group.
And so you're now there. You're actually, after this weekend, you're going right back to Israel to work on it. You're going to be at our congregation this Shabbat as we celebrate together, and then you're going to be leaving right from there to the airport. Your website is cfijerusalem.org, and they can go right to our website, rabbiscott.com. We'll have a link up to that so they can get more information about it. What's going to be your focus while you're there? They have humanitarian aid. What is the main purpose? What are you looking to do with that part of it?
Scott, I most certainly do not want to be offensive to anyone in the Christian world, but my focus, along with CFI, is to undo 2,000 years of abuse that has been brought on the Jewish people, and much of that from the Christian church world. We want to say to them, we're not here to take anything from you. We're not here to try to get you to give up on your Torah teaching, on your law, on your ways of doing things. We would never ask you to be less Jewish. We're here to love you, to feed your poor, to house those that have no homes, to love on the Holocaust survivor, to aid the terrorist victim, to give coats and backpacks and eat lunch and spend time on the army camps of the IDF. That's the things we do in Jerusalem.
So you have a ministry basically like we were just talking about in Acts 21, where you're not trying to change how they are. On the contrary, that would go against the scripture. You're trying to bring a new understanding of how Gentiles can bless Israel and be a part of it at the same time. Would that be a fair statement?
Oh, most certainly. You know, Paul spoke in the 11th chapter of Romans, and he said that there was a partial, he used that word partial blinding upon the Jewish kingdom. Well, let me tell you something. There's also a partial blinding upon the Christian ecclesia, the Christian church. And my friend, when we both take off all blinders and become one new man, I'm seeing something taking place that I don't think history has ever seen when we actually become that. So no, we're not asking them to give up anything. We're blessing them. I worship on Shabbat. I rest on Shabbat. I'm just loving the privilege for the first time to honor the Torah.
You know, I've seen this with a number of pastors that I've known over the years. A good friend of mine up in Rome, Georgia, had a Baptist denominational church and had always had a love for Israel, and they decided, all the leadership, they talked to me, we went through counseling, they wanted to become a Messianic congregation.
Wow.
And to go, you know, they went before their congregation. We were expecting, I told them, you're going to lose half your congregation.
Yeah.
Do you know, when they took the vote, not a single person left the congregation. As a matter of fact, the response was almost, what took you all so long? And they had been around for a number of years. They really never saw a lot of growth. The moment they started becoming a Messianic congregation, they've seen growth. Jewish people getting saved. There's Gentiles getting saved. You're seeing this experience now. You're having this life. This is life-changing for you to say, you know, you're leading a great congregation, great ministry, and doing this. That's a major step. What was your initial fear? What was that thing that said, this is what we're supposed to do?
Well, after 21 years of being senior pastor, pioneering of Cornerstone Assembly in the Gainesville, Flowery Branch area, as I began to see what was taking place, you know, all of my life, we were kind of taught in the church world that the promises of God were now for the church, and that Israel, because they had fallen, had kind of slipped from grace. And I began to realize that was far from the truth. I began to see that, yes, they did stumble, but because they stumbled, God extended mercy then to the whole world. And that I'm not replacing them, but I am being grafted into them. And if I'm to be grafted into them, they're not to do the major changing. I am to do the major changing. And because of that, we are just every day. I get up every day. When I first went to Israel, I thought, well, I'm going to do as much Americanizing as possible. I'll buy me a little Toyota car. I'll still eat this and do that. The more I'm in Israel, the more I am falling in love with the Torah, and the Torah portions keep me alive now, Rabbi.
You know, I'm going to extend this on to next week, because there's a lot more here, and I'm letting my producer Nick know we're going to do a second segment here right after this, because this is important, because you're having life-changing experience at growing up as a believer in the church, leading a congregation, and God has made a major move on your life to bring you to this change where you're starting to do things that you didn't do before.
Yeah.
And I think people are out there wanting to know just what I want to do. You know, what's going on? Why are you doing it? How are people reacting? And if that person's in that same place that you were, what should they be doing? What maybe obviously praying to the Lord, seeking them, but maybe books or something. So we're going to bring this on until next week. Again, if you're watching the show, you can watch on YouTube, the Messianic Hour. You can listen to the broadcast at our website as well on your iPhone and app. We're going to extend this interview to the next week. I think it's so important to understand what's taking place. And this is why we as believers, both Jew and Gentile, have to understand God's plan. So until next week, this is Rabbi Scott saying shalom and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.